You're kidding. Just one shot?
They're not all zombies, Doug. How do you fight this thing?
Maybe we could drown it in A1 sauce.
Well, sometimes that is better. The person you put up there ain't the person that comes back.
It's a dance song to get down with. About 6 feet under. Get down.
Ooh, I love this song.
And now we come to the thrilling final episode of our radio drama.
Hello everyone, and welcome to episode 291 of the Rotten Views podcast. We're stepping back into the horror movies. We're going back to 1989 for today's episode. Today, we are watching Nightmare Beach. This is a first time watch for us, and guess what? If you want to check out this episode, or check out this movie that we're talking about in this episode, I should say, you can watch it for free on YouTube or Tubi as well. At least it was on Tubi at the point in time of doing this podcast, but I decided to save, to save the ads a little bit. We're going to go on YouTube because, every now and then I got YouTube Premium. I like watching movies on there every now and then. So, as always, to start the podcast out, I just want to say thank you to everyone for showing up to another new episode. I appreciate it. If you're a returning listener, thank you for showing up each and every single week to a new episode. If you're a new listener, maybe you're looking up this movie on Spotify or a various podcast platform, and you're like, hey, I don't know this podcast. Maybe we'll just check it out. Hopefully, that's me. Hopefully, you're checking out my podcast, and hopefully, you're checking out the back catalog of other episodes that we have, because we've done a ton of bad, good horror movies. It's all on your personal preference. I like watching bad horror movies. I'm not saying all the movies I've done for the podcast have been bad. A lot of them have actually been really great. There's been a couple duds here and there, scattered throughout. There's also been some action movies, some comedies as well. So there's been the occasional anime movie as well. So definitely go check it out. I think I did Lupin the Third. I forget which one it was, but it's a fun episode, so definitely go check that out if you're into that kind of thing. And if you want to see more action and comedy movies and a little bit more variety, feel free to let me know down in the comments below, because I would love to hear what you guys want to see, or listen to, I should say. Because for me personally, I just love watching these older movies that I've never even heard of before. That's the whole point of doing this podcast, is to, venture out, check out movies that I've never seen before, discuss them, more focused on them, not having it just as a background noise as I do with a lot of things. But with these never before seen movies, I focus a lot more on them, on the scenes and everything happening. That way I get a little bit more of what's going on in the movie. And sure, some movies suck, but I always try to look at the bright side of things, because I know for the most part a lot of people put a lot of effort and time into these movies. So you always gotta try and look on the bright side and find the good and even the biggest turd that you watch. So before we do get into this podcast episode at hand, let's do a little bit of housekeeping like we like to do each and every single week.
Housekeeping?
I think you're sleeping.
Housekeeping?
Could you come back in an hour?
Housekeeping, you want towel?
More towels. Need sleepy.
Housekeeping, you want mint for pillow?
Please go away. Let me sleep, for the love of God.
As always, if you want to help the podcast grow, if you want to help out this product, make sure to leave a review, leave a like, hit the share button, leave a comment, whatever it might be. If you're on Spotify, feel free to leave a star review. If you want to leave a 5-star, I appreciate it. Any star rating is fine though. It doesn't matter that much to me. If you want to leave a 1-star, let me know what I gotta do to improve. I appreciate it, nonetheless. For you to even take the time, because I feel like you actually have to listen to a little bit of episodes on Spotify before you can even leave a star review. I hope you can not just leave a 1-star just to be negative. Hopefully, I don't know, maybe it is like that. I've never actually tried, so But hopefully you guys will leave a review, leave some comments, let me know what episodes you enjoy, what movies you might want to see. And the main thing you can do to help this podcast grow is just hit that share button. That share button does help a lot. So if you want to share on your X account, your Threads account, Facebook, Instagram, whatever it might be, feel free to do so. And as always, if you want to help me out a little bit more, maybe you want to keep in touch, feel free to follow me on any social medias at Typhonstein. They're all linked down in the description below. But you can find me on X, Threads, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. But the main thing you should definitely check out is the YouTube channel where I drop old episodes of the podcast every single Monday. I drop a new gaming video every single Wednesday, and we do various live streams. I do daily shorts where I've been doing my daughter's lunchbox surprise series, which has been like 2 weeks now, 3 weeks of Simpson drawings, which I'm having a lot of fun with those. We're going to be doing some more Pokemon drawings, some more anime drawings, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. It's a ton of free content over there. You can also check out the community tab where I post the On This Day in Horror section piece. Maybe you don't want to do YouTube, feel free to check out the Rotten Reviews Podcast Instagram page where I post about the podcast, of course, and I do post the daily On This Day in Horror piece over there as well. So there's a ton of free content for you guys. Hours upon hours of free content, especially if you're on that YouTube channel. Another thing you can definitely do, make sure to check out the TeePublic link site down below. If you want to buy some merch, you want to buy some podcast merch, we got t-shirts, hats, stickers, buttons, pretty much anything and everything you might be looking for. It's not just the podcast stuff, there's other designs I've done as well, so definitely go check those out if you're wanting to buy some new shirts and whatnot. When you're into some wrestling content, feel free to check out the CWC Canadian Wrestling Championship page on Instagram, Facebook, as well as YouTube. Got various shorts over there. Did a post for Easter. That was like a week or 2 weeks ago now that I'm thinking about it by the time this episode comes out. So I hope you guys had a good Easter. Hopefully the Easter bunny was nice to you. It's kind of weird though, as a kid, you have this holiday where you go around looking for chocolate eggs that apparently are left by a bunny rabbit. Doesn't make sense at all, but it is what it is. The kids enjoy it. That's all that matters. I'm also pretty sure there's like a Easter Bunny horror movie out there, like Bunny Man Massacre or something like that. Don't quote me on that one, but I'm pretty sure I saw something like that. I've never seen it. Maybe I'll watch it one of these days for the podcast. Who knows? But with that being said, let's get back into the podcast episode at hand. I just want to mention, though, for any of the new listeners, if you're obviously not used to this podcast because you're a new listener, that's how that works. I'm going to be talking about this movie from start to finish, hit all the points in between that interest me. So that means it's going to be a spoiler-heavy episode. So just so you guys are aware, I don't want to have any nasty comments being like, you spoiled everything in the movie. No, I warned you. I did. I'm going to warn you again before I actually do start talking about it. But this is your first warning. I'm going to be talking about this movie from start to finish. Hitting all those damn points in between. But let's get back to the movie at hand. We are watching Nightmare Beach from 1989. It's a horror crime movie for an hour and 32-minute runtime. It's got 5.4 out of 10 on IMDb and a 16% on Rotten Tomatoes and 3.5 out of 5 on Slant Magazine, whatever the frick that is. I've never even heard of that before. The description as read on IMDb. After the execution of a motorcycle gang leader convicted of murder, a helmeted biker goes on a killing spree during spring break in Florida. This movie has two directors, which are also part of the writing team as well. So this is the section of the podcast where I talk about the writer, the directors, and a couple of the cast members as well. So the first director, also known as a writer for this one, is James Justice that we're going to talk about. James was also the writer for 2006 Lesser Evil. It was a TV movie. He was also the writer for Primal Rage in 1988. I actually really enjoy Primal Rage. I'm definitely going to be watching that one for the podcast at some point in time. Not sure when yet, but I thought that movie was great. Just putting that out there. The other director and writer that I'm going to butcher this name because, well, that's what I'm good at, is Umberto Lenzi. They were the writer for 1988's Ghost House, the writer for 1965's Super 7, Calling Cario, the writer for 1981's Cannibal Fairfox. I've never seen that movie. I've heard a lot of things about it. Will we do it for the podcast at some point in time? I don't know. Let me know down in the comments, though, if you want me to do it or not. He's also the writer for 1976, The Tough Ones. He was also the writer for 1980's Primal Rage, so I'm assuming him and Justice had a writing duel that they worked on a lot of movies together. Which, well, Justice only did 3 movies, but that's besides. The last writer that we're going to talk about is Vittorio Rambaldi. Don't hate me for butchering the names. This is the calling card for the podcast, pretty much at this point in time. They were the director for 1995's Decoy. The director for 1988's Primal Rage. That movie's getting a lot of talk. The director for 2006, Yo Rahad Unamako. Yeah, I'm not able to say the rest of that word because I'm just too stupid and don't know Spanish. I think it's Spanish, maybe. He's done movies that I don't know anything about other than, Primal Rage, and I've heard of Decoy before. Now we're just going to jump cut over to the actor section. The first one we're going to talk about is Nicholas de Toth, who's playing the character of Skip. Very creative, Skip. He was the editor for 2025's Avatar, Fire and Ash. He was the editor for 2013's Stoker, the editor for 2007's Die Hard 4.0, and the editor for 3 episodes of Obi-Wan Kenobi in 2022. Apparently he does a lot of editing jobs. He was there also for Hitman, Agent 47 in 2015. Love those video games. Never seen the movie, any of the movies. Kind of curious about them. Maybe I'll do a Hitman series for the podcast. Maybe I'll do that and talk about the video games. Maybe a little bonus content. We're always talking about doing like a Patreon or something. Maybe that'll be that. Who knows? Pretty much just spitballing some ideas there for you guys if it's something you really want. The next person we're going to talk about is Sarah Buxton, who's playing the character of Gail. So in 2008, she played a character called Hokey Pokey Woman in Bedtime Stories. In 2009, she played Helen in Spread. But she was also Wendy for 195 episodes from 1987 to 2005 of The Bold and the Beautiful. But we're not done yet. She's also Annie Douglas Richards from 1997 to 1999 for 551 episodes of Sunset Beach. Can we take a second there? 97 to 99. 2 years, 551 episodes. What the hell is this show? I'm not going to watch it because I already looked at the picture of it and that doesn't interest me by any means. But what the hell, guys? Come on now. And I know we usually only talk about 2 cast members in a movie, but I gotta mention this one. This is Chief Stryker, who's played by none other than John Saxon. You might know him as Lieutenant Ken Fuller in 1974's Black Christmas, Lieutenant Donald Thompson in 1984's A Nightmare on Elm Street, or you might know him as Roper in 1973's Enter the Dragon. This movie has a tagline, unlike the last one. I don't think the last movie had a tagline. It might actually have a tagline now I'm thinking about it. It might have been something just stupid like sex, werewolves, rock and roll. This one's just as stupid. The tagline for this one is The Beach of Terror. You couldn't come up with anything else? Nothing spring breaky related? Nothing at all, huh? I didn't even know it was based in Florida until I read the description of it. Maybe you could have did something about that, but that's okay. We're going to skip the trivia side of things because, like I said, I haven't watched this movie before. So I don't want to really spoil anything for myself upon my first watch. I know, it's crazy to think because this episode's going to be a spoiler for anyone who hasn't watched this movie yet. There's your second warning. Don't hate me in the comments. But with that being said, with that being your second warning, that I'm going to be talking about this movie from start to finish and hitting all the points in between. I'm going to be starting the movie here in a few seconds, so hopefully you won't hate me for spoiling things. And if you do, oh well, that's fine. It doesn't really matter too much to me. I mean, it matters, just a smidge, somewhere, at some point in time. But at this point in time, not really. So with that being said, if you don't want to be spoiled on a movie that came out in 1989, feel free to pause this episode now or skip this episode. I leave that up to you. Like I said, you can watch it on Tubi. It's also available on Amazon to rent, or you can find it on YouTube for free. I'll leave that up to you where you want to watch it. But hopefully you'll sit back, relax, listen to me talk about this movie, and I'll either really make you want to see it, or you'll be okay avoiding it. I leave that judgment call up to you at the end of this episode. But with that being said, if you're at home, listen to this episode. Hopefully you're comfy, relaxed, just resting for the night, maybe getting ready for bed. Just put something on to fall asleep to. I don't know why it would be me of all things, but I appreciate it. And if you're at work, hopefully this helps you get through the day a little bit easier. Hopefully it makes the hours go by a little bit quicker, and hopefully you're having a good day doing whatever it might be. And as I know most of you fine people are, you're listening in the car, going to work, going to school, going shopping, groceries, whatever it might be, vacation, whatever it is. just keep your eyes on the road, get to where you're going. That way everyone can get home and check out next week's episode. I know that's not really the main priority. Kinda is. I hope you guys show up next week. I'd appreciate it if you did. But with that being said, let's get started on the movie at hand right now.
Presents Saturday Night at the Movies, the television series which each week brings you the finest in recent motion pictures. Tonight,
1 week of non-stop partying guarantees to blow away so many brain cells you won't even remember your name. Oh, wow! Every one of these years, by sunrise Easter morning, I'm telling the whole school you're a bender.
I want to get off of this thing!
Welcome to spring break, the annual migration of the idiots.
Hey, biker parking only. Get a grip.
Chill. Look, we don't want any trouble, all right?
Edward Diablo Santor, the state stands ready to execute you as charged. Do you have any last words?
May the Lord have mercy on you.
Guard! Guard!
Don't shoot! Don't shoot!
Some drunk breakers, thinking it's a fun trick.
Sick Diablo's biker buddies.
He vowed he was coming back.
Assaulting an officer with a deadly weapon. That's cause to blow your fucking pretty head off.
Who killed my friend?
Who?
So we got the movie starting right out, and we see a bunch of bikers outside this prison, and then we see inside the prison where we see the gang leader who's being escorted to the executioner chair. Obviously, from reading the description on IMDb, we know that the leader of the biker gang gets, executed. And of course, we see them putting the guy in the chair, strapping him in, and of course, he's yelling at John Saxon's character Stryker, being like, "I'm going to get you in death, Stryker. Don't you worry. I'm going to come back out of the death and get you." And then, of course, the preacher's there being like, "Let's pray for your soul." And the biker's like, "God, pray for your own damn soul. Leave me alone." And then we see the warden call and they make sure that the execution is good to go and that there's no reason to stop it after they got them all strapped in. They got the hood and everything on them, and everything's good to go. So they just pop the switch, and next thing you know, biker guy's getting fried. Then we see a still image of just him sitting in a chair, and then the intro credits start to roll in as some lady is singing over the intro credits, singing about being a bad girl. And the music starts to pick up, and then we see the Florida beach scene, see a bunch of people just running down the beach, and then the Nightmare Beach font pops up. It's actually a neat, creative looking font, so I'll give them credit where credit is due, of course. I enjoy a good font. I enjoy a good design. That's cool. We see a bunch of old vehicles driving around this beach, and I love taking a look at the old vehicles and everything that went into the shots. And they brought some really cool buggies and other vehicles in for this movie, and I gotta give them a lot of credit for that, because there's some really cool looking cars in like the first 5 minutes of this movie. And then as soon as I say there's a really cool vehicle, then you see this white pickup truck with a bunch of guys on the back of it, and they're holding up a giant wooden cross, and we can just assume what they're saying. They're probably going on about how it's spring break and a lot of you guys shouldn't be doing the things that you're doing because you're going to be sinning and blah, 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 blah. And then we see this white Jeep pulling up in the shot, and then this guy pops out of the bag, and the girl's like, hey, you owe us $10 for gas. He's like, oh, yeah, I got it, no worries. He hands her some money, and the next thing she's like, oh my god, my wallet's gone. He's like, he's already gone. He's long gone. And then I believe it's a mayor. He's talking to Chief Stryker, being like, so how'd the execution go? He's like, oh, he's fried like a turkey. He's like, all right, well, that's really good. But make sure to keep an eye on his biker buddies. Make sure they don't cause any issues for us at spring break. And then, like, the medical doctor that was checking the biker gang leader to make sure he's dead was outside also with Stryker. And he's watching some spring breakers going around and stuff. And he's like, ah, yes, it's the annual migration of the idiots. And I'm like, hey, I'm going to probably like your character unless you die. And then we see this blonde lady. I'm not sure if she's Gail or not, but she's getting booked in for her room. He's like, I got a really nice room lined up for you. It's lined with mirrors. There's lots of mirrors in her room. She's like, why would I need so many mirrors? He's like, don't worry about it. And then we cut to this pool where this girl's getting ready to jump in the pool, and she sees a body floating face down, and it looks like a dead body, but we can see like the fake prosthetics and stuff on it, and everyone comes over screaming, being curious what's going on. And then the guy just pokes his head out of the wire because he's pulling a prank the whole time. So then we see Chief Stryker showing up to the morgue, not the morgue, the gravesite. And we find out the gang members came by and stole the body away from the morgue because they're like, yeah, we're not going to let you guys bury him here. We're going to bury him somewhere else, essentially. So now we're looking at this empty gravesite where the Diablo gang leader was buried. And the preacher's there as well. He's like, well, his final words was that he's going to come back after death to get some vengeance on you guys. So, maybe that's what they're doing. And I believe it's also the mayor there. He's like, we need to calm this situation down so nobody else gets freaked out about it. And the Stryker's like, yeah, I got it. But then we see this lady at nighttime, and she's getting ready to go to the beach. Or she's trying to get to the beach area. She's like hitchhiking. And then this mass biker shows up. And from looking at the images online, this is actually our killer because he's got the same helmet on. As soon as this lady gets on the back of her bike, he just literally starts speeding. And she's like, can you pull over, please? I want to get off now. He drives his bike down to this road closure dead end sign. And she's sitting on the back of it. And he presses these two red buttons that are on his gas tank, and she literally gets fried. She gets completely electrocuted to the point where she falls off the bike. She is now charred, crispy, burnt. It's funny, I'm watching this on YouTube, and I'm assuming somebody had to do it for the upload, but there's a girl walking around at the pool now, and apparently her bikini is too small because she is now blurred out from just the ass area. Just the ass is blurred out, because I'm assuming that body half is either not there or just super tiny. Because all the other girls in bikinis are perfectly fine and not blurred out at all. And then we see that creepy clerk who is meshing to the lady. He's like, yeah, your room's got a lot of mirrors in it. He's in this laundry room where apparently he's got a hole in the wall so he can peep. Because that hole is directly looking at the mirror where she would be undressing in front of. So then we see Skip and his buddy. They're outside by their car. And then I thought they were called Diablos, but apparently the biker gang leader is Diablo. The gang is actually called the Demons, and they start harassing Skip and his buddy. And then out of nowhere, Chief Stryker shows up being like, all right, assholes, everybody leave, go, shoo, you're not wanted here, get the hell out of the area. And it's only one cop and about 15 or 16 bikers, and then they're like, all right, fine, we'll leave. But before the bikers are getting ready to leave, Stryker's like, hey, you guys wouldn't by chance know who took Diablo's body, right? I was there. I watched him fry. It really stunk really badly, so I know he's dead. And one of you idiots dug up the body. So we see Skip and his buddy sitting at the bar, and then the buddy's like, hey, I see some hot chicks over there. I'm going to go over there. So Skip just sits at the bar having a drink. And this random lady sits down beside him being like, hey, you're cute. Want to go take a walk and go do stuff? He's like, nah, I'm good, actually. Thanks, though. So then we see Gail walking down the street, and she goes up to this guy and being like, he's an old gentleman as well. And he looks like he probably has money. And she's like, hey, sir, I hate to bother you, but can I have some change to use the payphone so I can call my parents? I hate to bother you, but my pocketbook was stolen. And he's like, oh, well, yeah, you gotta be careful, all these crazy kids out there. By the way, though, here's enough change. Go ahead and make your phone call. And she's like, thank you. And he's like, well, what school are you going to? She's like, well, actually, I had to drop out. My parents lost their business, so now I'm stuck working to pay the bills and stuff for them. He's like, oh, well, maybe if you come with me, we can work something out for your situation. I'm assuming that's sexual related things, but we'll have to wait and see. Because next thing we know, we see this gentleman leaving Gil's room with a check in hand. And he's like, make sure you get your degree and help out all those poor people, alright? So then the next day, we see everyone at the beach, hanging out at the beach. The lady starts yelling sharks, so everyone goes running to the shore. It's like, yeah, there's a fin. So then an officer shows up and starts shooting at the fin. And then a guy pops up being like, hey, don't shoot. Not really a shark. Just pulling a prank. Don't worry about me, okay? Please don't shoot me again. Then from the whole fake shark incident, I should say, we jump cut to a wet t-shirt competition that's going on the beach, because why not? It's Florida, it's spring break. Let's put all these girls in white shirts and just toss water on them and let them dance around to some 80s music. So then we see Skip sitting at the bar again with his buddy, and of course the buddy's like, hey, let's get wasted, let's get brain dead, let's have a lot of fun. We got a bunch of condoms, rubbers that we gotta use before Easter. And Skip's like, I'm just gonna go hang out at the room because I don't feel like getting drunk and being an idiot. And it seems like Gail, the bartender, likes Skip in a certain way, because then after Skip leaves, his buddy's like, yeah, he needs someone warm and comfortable to drill his brains out. You should probably go hang out with him. And then as Skip is going back into his room, the next room over is the other girl. Maybe she's Gil. I don't know. Whatever her name is. She's doing the same routine with another gentleman that she just did with the other guy, about being like, hey, I had to drop out of school, blah, blah, blah. And she's walking away with yet another check. It's now nighttime. We see Skip's buddy just walking around on the streets being like, hey, ladies, how's it going? You want to get naked? Naked anybody? Anybody want to get naked? And then we find out his name is actually Ronnie. He's like, hey, I'm a wide receiver, Ronnie Rivera. You want to get naked with me? Want to get naked, huh? So then Ronnie meets up with this one chick who was pretty much playing him the whole time, because she's actually the main lady of the biker that tried to kick their ass earlier. He's like, hey lady, you don't have to worry at all about getting any diseases. I got so many rubbers. And he drops them all over the ground. And when he goes to pick them up, that's when he's then surrounded by the biker gang that just start to kick the shit right out of him. And I'm assuming it's a YouTube thing, maybe. I'm not really too sure. But for some reason, we see Ronnie on the ground and his face is all beat up. He's bleeding. But the color in his face is going gray. So I'm not sure if somebody edited it so there's not so much blood being seen on the cut. I'm not really sure what the whole process was. I'm assuming it's something to do with YouTube related violence or something along those lines. Then we see all the bikers leave, and they leave Ronnie on the ground. And then as he's getting up off the ground, he then sees that mysterious biker that fried the lady earlier. And he gets all pissed off because he assumes that guy's with them. So he walks over to the guy being like, I'm going to kick your ass. And he throws a punch at him, and he misses that punch. And Ronnie grabs onto that same bar that the lady was holding. And of course, that biker just hits the two red buttons. Next thing you know, we see Ronnie getting electrocuted, and then he goes up in flames, actually. And the biker just drives away with Ronnie burning to death on the ground. Then we see Ronnie's body in the morgue, and they're looking at it, and Stryker's like, I'm sorry, just spilled some booze on, went to light smoke, and went up in flames. And then the doctor's like, well, it's actually the same burn marks that the hitchhiker had on her as well, so maybe the same person killed them. And he's like, well, I guess there was bike marks on the ground, so maybe Diablo's back. I believe it's the mayor. He's like, so nobody else saw this body, right? He was found behind a dumpster, right? So maybe we just give him a little private burial out in the hills somewhere. So nobody knows. He won't be missed at all. We never saw him. Get it? And then the morgue guy or the doctor's like, yeah, I could lose my license by doing that, right? And the mayor's like, I don't really care. So then that bartender that's like never amused by anyone or happy to deal with anyone, she's working, and this guy sits down and be like, I need a beer, and I need a beer right now. She's like, well, you gotta wait for your turn. He's like, I can't handle it. So he stabs his hand, and obviously it's just a fake hand because he's the same guy that was doing the fake death prank in the pool earlier. And then out of nowhere, Skip's like, hey, if you see my buddy by chance, I'm supposed to remind him to call his mom because it's his mom's birthday, and I can't find him anywhere. Yeah, because he's dead. Let me see, Skip looking around, talking to various people. He's not being able to find Ronnie anywhere. But then, as he's just walking around, he sees the biker lady, and she's walking to her truck. He's like, excuse me, miss, where'd you get that medal? He's like, I got it from my old man. He's like, wow, that's crazy. My buddy who's missing had the exact same medal. She's like, oh, well, that's weird. Hops in her truck and just starts to drive away. So then Skip's like, maybe I should probably follow her. So Skip literally follows her from the beach, and she goes to the demon's hideout. And he's like, all right, fine, I'm going to get out and try and hide behind this fence and peep in. And then one of the other biker guys finds him, and he's like, hey, this guy's been peeping on us. And she's like, yeah, he followed us all the way from the beach. It's no big deal. And then out of nowhere, Stryker shows up to save the day. I guess it's just some really good timing because Stryker's showing up because apparently he has a warrant to search the premises for Diablo's body. And then he tells Skip, being like, hey, college boy, go back to all your other preppy kids because there's no point in you being out here. So then we see that lady again showing up with another new man to her room. She's now in this little like nurse outfit, being like, you're lucky, I just learned something new. It's a new physical therapy. Then it's going to help you out so much. So she takes that gentleman into her room. By the time she's then leaving her room with that gentleman, she's in a completely different outfit altogether. She's now in a pink robe, and underneath is just a little bra and undies. So I'm assuming she did more than massage, but whatever. Anyways, the creepy clerk is now going back in the laundry room to try and peep on her, and that's when he's then met by the helmeted biker guy with like one of those choky ropes. I don't know the technical terms. It's a rope that you use pretty much to almost rip somebody's head off. And, well, he's going to die now. So after she sends the big guy away, she goes back to her room. She hears a noise, and she starts looking around, curious what it is. And then she walks into the one room, I think the bedroom area, and she sees the peeping Tom's eye through the hole. So then she runs outside, runs to where that room is, opens up the door, being like, you're a creep, you're a pervert. And as she pulls on the guy, we find out he's dead because he's bleeding from the throat. So she rushes to the elevator, and of course then the elevator stops working when she's inside of it. So as she's in the elevator screaming for help, she doesn't realize the hatch on the top opens up. The mysterious biker's there with a wire in hand, and he literally grabs her by the top of the head, opens up her mouth, and rams that wire into her throat. She gets electrocuted, and she dies in the elevator. Then we see Skip again outside the bar talking to Gail. She's done work now. And he's like, did you see my buddy by chance? And she's like, no, I was keeping an eye out for him, but I didn't see him at all. He's like, well, that's weird. I found my buddy's medal on one of those biker chicks. And she's pretty much like, yeah, that's probably not good. They stay out in the desert area there, and they cause a lot of trouble. And then Gail gets in the car with Skip, and as they're getting ready to drive away, this random jock jumps in the back seat, yelling about football and being excited, and then he jumps out of the car and they drive away. And then we see Skip and Gail showing up to the hospital to talk to Dr. Willett, and they're like, we're looking for this buddy, Ronnie. He's about yay tall, weird shirt, and all this other stuff. And Dr. Willett's like, yeah. Nope, don't recall seeing anyone with that description at all. Definitely didn't bury him in the woods somewhere. So then they decide to go to the police station to see if Ronnie showed up there at all. So Gail's talking to the guy behind the desk and discussing what he looks like and all this stuff. And he's pretty much like, no way he's coming in with that description at all. So then they leave, and then Stryker shows up being like, what do they want? Oh, just looking for his buddy that went missing. And they're like, hey, that's actually the guy that threw out the Orange Bowl and screwed it all up. And Stryker's like, yeah, lost $50 on that game. So then we see Skip being the nice guy and driving Gail home. He's like, why do you work at the bar? She's like, well, I need the money, seeing my parents are dead. And, well, this town's not really booming with other opportunities. He's like, well, why don't you just move then? He's like, well, you need money for that, to be honest with you. So then they get to her home, and he's like, hey, you live here by yourself? And she's like, well, my sister used to live here with me. But then she got murdered by one of the demon guys. He's like, oh, did they ever catch him? She's like, yeah, they executed him yesterday, or a couple days ago at least. It's like, oh, alright, well, that's good. So, it's like the next day, the maid's getting ready to go grab some towels at that hotel, and she finds the clerk dead in the towel room. And then, of course, she's screaming, and the next thing you know, we see the police and Dr. Willett and everyone there. And then Mary's like, can we keep this as, low-key as possible? It's like, you already have a group of people around you, so it's not going to be that low-key as it is. Plus, you have a lady dead in the elevator who got electrocuted and burned. I don't know how low-key you're going to be able to go with this one. So then we see Dr. Willett leaving that area, and he's drinking in his car because he's having a really hard time right now. And then as he's driving away, we then see Skip pop out of the back seat with a screwdriver and puts it to his throat. And he's like, don't scream, don't do anything stupid right now. Let's go park, and I want you to tell me where my friend is. He's like, I don't know. He's like, well, no, I want you to tell me where my friend is. And that's when he spills the beans that his buddy Ronnie is buried out in the middle of the desert. So then we see Skip digging him back up and being like, well, why did this happen to you? Why are you dead? Why didn't I actually go with you? I should have just stuck around with you, and then maybe we'd both be dead, or none of us would be dead. And then Stryker shows up being like, are you done there, boy? I need you to grab that shovel and put that dirt back where you found it. And Skip's like, well, who killed him? He's like, don't worry about it. Make sure you bury your friend back up. I don't need anyone knowing about him. So then Stryker's like, see her? That's your car over there, right? He's like, alright, you point that thing north, and you don't stop until you see snow. You don't ever come back. You understand me? And Skip's like, you can't, just keep this covered up. Why don't you find the real killer? He's like, hey, don't tell me how to do my job. Like I said, point the car north, don't come back. So now later that night, we see Gail getting off work, and she gets on her little red moped and starts going home. And then that's when the mysterious killer biker appears behind her, and he's driving really slow because her moped can only go so fast. She looks behind her and be like, oh crap, somebody's actually following me. This isn't good. She somehow gets enough distance in between him that she is able to get to her home, unlock the door, get inside, turn on the lights, lock the door again, and get her gun out of the cabinet. And then we see this mysterious biker feet walking up on her porch. But then out of nowhere, Skip appears behind her and grabs her by the shoulder. And she's like, I almost shot you. He's like, what's wrong? She's like, the biker guy followed me home. So then Skip peeks outside. He's like, there's nobody out there. She's like, I wasn't imagining it. He's like, yeah, I get it. I understand. But, this is the only place I can hide right now because the police chief doesn't want me around. And then Skip goes into detail about how, he made the doctor tell him where Ronnie's body was actually buried and that the police chief isn't actually looking for the killer and that he's going to blame me for the killing of Ronnie if I didn't leave town and all this other crap. We see everyone at the beach having a good time. They got the music playing. They got the campfire going. Just relaxing, just having a nice time. Then this lady comes running around the corner screaming how there's been another dead body found. So everyone goes to take a look at it. And of course, the guy's not actually dead because it's the same person that's pulled a prank on them all the other times. Like, why don't you guys know that this guy's just pulling a prank at this point in time? Anyways, then we see this lady going into her camper, and for some reason, the killer biker is just hiding in the closet and comes right up behind her and just clocks her in the head. We then see that lady waking up. She's chained up, and she's in this, boiler-looking room. Or area, I should say. And then the mysterious biker shows up, and she's like, why are you doing this to me? What's going on here? And he doesn't say anything at all, because he doesn't talk for the whole movie. And he just goes over to this door for this giant furnace, and then he just cranks the heat so the heat's coming out at her. And of course, she burns alive, and then we just see that skeleton with some melting flesh coming off of it. So we see the mayor with Stryker right now, and he's in his office. He went out on the balcony for a minute, and he's getting all stressed out because news reporters keep showing up. And he's like, I don't know what to do. All these news reporters are probably everything on the satellite now, and now we have all these parents calling us to see what's going on. They're worried about their parents. And he's just freaking out. He's like, well, what if it is actually Diablo? And Stryker's like, we saw him die. He's dead. He's not coming back to life. And then the phone rings again, and it's Dr. Willett on that, and he's going on about how his career is wrecked now because of everything the mayor's been making him do. And the mayor's like, you just gotta calm down, everything's gonna be fine. And then Dr. Willett literally puts a gun in his mouth, and then you hear a gunshot go off, and we cut to Stryker picking up the phone, and clearly the doctor took his own life. So then we see Skip and Gail outside the bikers gang compound. And a bunch of the bikers are driving away. And then Gail's like, hey, that's, I forget what her name is. But she's the one that got Ronnie killed. And apparently she's also, I think her name was Trina. She's also the one that got Gail's sister killed. So then they ended up grabbing her. And literally Gail picks up the knife that Trina dropped on the ground, being like, you screamed, I'm gonna slice your throat right open. I understand? And Trina's like, we did kick the shit out of Ronnie's ass, but we actually didn't kill him. When we left, he was still alive. So then Skip's like, well, who killed him? He's like, well, I don't know, ask Stryker. He's the screwy cop around town. So then Skip and Gail are talking about Stryker. And apparently Stryker used to follow Gail and her friend around town and try to get them in trouble for doing various things and make them go on joyrides with them. Maybe it's her little sister that she was talking about. I'm not too sure. But anyways, they end up at the trailer where Stryker lives. And Skip goes to open the door being like, it's open. And a German Shepherd comes out of the trailer. Shocking. Police officer. Of course he owns a German Shepherd. Anyways, then Gail just pulls out pepper spray and just sprays the crap out of the dog, and the dog just runs away. He's like, where'd you get that? She's like, just safety cautions. So then they're searching his trailer, and Gail's like, well, what are we looking for? He's like, I don't know, but you'll know it once we find it. So then she opens up his little closet area. It looks like he's got a bunch of chains and bondage looking stuff. He's like, hey, it doesn't mean he's a murderer. It just means he likes some weird stuff. And then they find photos, and apparently Stryker's been keeping a lot of their murder photos from the crime scenes. And apparently one of them was actually Gail's sister when they found her dead. And she starts ripping it up, and Skip's like, hey, we still can't say that he's actually the murderer. He just likes to collect weird things. And then, of course, they hear a car pulling up in Stryker. Stryker comes into the trailer and he's calling Richie the dog, but the dog's not showing up anywhere. That's when he looks over at his table and he knows one of his gun that's usually up on the wall is sitting on the table. So then he pulls out his handgun and be like, I know there's definitely somebody in here, or at least there was somebody in there. So then he hears barking out the door and it's Richie. And he's like, what's going on, Richie? Looking at you. Somebody's been here, haven't they? It's like, well, yeah, the gun's laying on the table unless you left it there in a drunk stupor. That's when then Stryker goes back into his trailer. He notices the window on the one door is lifted up and somebody escaped out of it. And he's looking around at some of his pictures and we see the postcards of the crime scenes. One of them's all ripped up. And, of course, it's only the one of Gail's sister, so I'm assuming he's putting 2 to 2 together right now. So then we see Loomis, the mayor, showing up at the preacher's house, being like, so, by chance, do you think it could actually be Diablo out there, causing all these murders? And he's like, well, it could be, really. Oh, no, the only thing we can do, if it is just pray that it stops. Then we cut to the Demons Biker Club where all the bikers are getting ready to leave, and for some reason they just leave Trina behind. She's yelling at them, being like, hey guys, why you just leave me? And then she hears another bike showing up after she goes to sit back down, and of course it's the murderer's bike. So then she gets all spooked, and then she goes to close the door, and then she's walking back, not looking where she's going, and bumps into the hooded murderer. Helmeted murderer. And she's like, Diablo, I knew you'd come back. She's like, I'm still yours. See, I still got your tattoo on my butt cheek. Anyways, then the murderer pushes her up against the wall, and then they start to fight each other because then she realizes, no, it's not Diablo. He then pushes her down the couch, and she's just staring at him, be like, no, please don't. And he just randomly grabs some wires off the floor, out of the wall, and then he just literally hits her in the head with it, and she fries on the couch. So then we see Gail at the bar, and of course Stryker comes in being like, hey, I know your new boyfriend was in my trailer yesterday, and I know you're snooping around for things. She's like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. So then she goes to leave because she's done her shift, and she meets up with Skip in the parking lot, and he has the idea to be like, hey, you told me that the murderer was chasing you around on your scooter. How about you just go out on your scooter with his walkie-talkie and drive around for a little bit, and hopefully the murderer will find you and we can figure this all out. So then we see everyone having a party, and then the music starts to crackle and stop, and then everyone goes into the room where the power is. And they're like, it's just that Joker jerk pretending to be dead again. So they go to push him, and he is actually dead this time for once. So then a riot breaks out at this concert, and the cops are just like, hey, everyone, you need to settle down. Come on, settle down. So what? Someone was just murdered in the back room 2 seconds ago. No big deal. Calm down. I'm sure everything's fine. So then Gail is driving her scooter, and she thinks she's being followed by the killer. So she calls in to Skip, and then it just comes to be that it's just an officer on a bike that gets beside her. And he's like, sorry, it's false alarm, Skip. Just an officer. Don't worry about it. I'm not actually going to die at this moment. So Gail's like, hey, Skip, I've been driving down the same 2 streets for the last couple minutes now, and nobody's been around at all. So then Skip's like, hey, why don't you go to your creepy father's old abandoned scrapyard, and we'll see what happens there. And then as Skip is driving towards her, that's when we then see him get surrounded by the demons, but they don't really care, so then they just drive away. Then we see Skip randomly driving down the road, and he almost gets sideswiped by Chief Stryker. He's like, oh shit, I gotta hide in the car. So then he hides in the passenger seat and kind of dips out the door, and Stryker's like, I'm gonna get you now. And then he sees that nobody's in the car, so then Stryker chases down Skip, being like, you stupid jock, you're gonna get it now. So then Stryker's like, you're gonna assault an officer with a deadly weapon. That means I can blow your head off, even though Skip hasn't done anything. And then the demons show up, and they're like, yeah, that's not gonna happen, Stryker. So then they shoot Stryker. So then as Stryker's down on the ground, one of the bikers takes a chain, wraps it around his feet, and they just start taking him for a ride by dragging him all around the place. So we see Gail going through some of the buildings in the scrapyard, and she opens up a closet door, and that's when we see Diablo's body just hanging there. She runs out scared and is confronted by the helmeted murderer. And she's like, who are you? You're the one that killed my sister, aren't you? And then they start having a fight. And she's fighting with him, and then she actually gets the helmet off him. And the whole damn time, it's been the preacher. The whole time. And he's like, you're an evil little slut just like your sister, and I'm gonna kill you like all these other heathen invaders. We see Gale getting choked out by the preacher, but then Skip finally shows up and tries to help save the day. He starts fighting with the preacher, and then the preacher starts choking him. So then Gale grabs a metal pipe and just smashes the preacher in the back with it, allowing Skip and Gale to run away. The next part is kind of comedic because we see Gale and Skip running, and they jump out of the way, and then there's this giant tractor tire on their side of them, and the preacher drives into it, goes flying off of his bike into electrical wires, and literally gets fried on the spot. And then the next day, they're just sitting at the beach, just relaxing. Yeah, then we just start to see the outro credits show up as they're kissing on the beach and driving away. And it's just a shot of the beach as the outro credits start to roll on, essentially. And that's the end of the movie. I like that the twist was the preacher. I didn't really picture him being the murderer, but it makes sense that all these people come and have sex and getting drunk and doing heinous things, that the preacher would end up being the killer. And the fact that they have a biker problem would make sense as a cover-up. I was kind of wishing that it was actually one of the bikers, and I thought maybe it would be Chief Stryker, but Stryker's just an asshole. And nonetheless, I thought it was a decent movie. I wish there was a little bit more detail in the gruesome deaths and stuff like that. And you really only see like 5 people die, even though it says that so many people are going to die in the movie. But whatever, it is what it is. On the Rotten scale, I'm going to give it 4.5 out of 10. It's alright. I'm glad I watched it. Nothing super crazy about it, though, in my opinion. Alright, we're at that point in time where we gotta pick what we're watching next week. This is another first time watch for us. It's been on my list for a little while now, and I've just never gotten around to watching it. You can watch it on Plex, or guess what? There's also a free copy on YouTube as well if you want to watch it. We are watching from 1989. It's got an hour and 31 minute runtime. It's a slasher, and we're watching Cutting Class. So hopefully you guys will check this one out next week. I know it's going to be a good movie. I've heard nothing but decent things about it, to be honest with you. It's kind of, I don't want to say it's like a cult classic by any means, but I've heard in the horror groups I'm in, I've heard good things about it. So we'll have to wait and see. Not a big Brad Pitt fan, but it's going to be interesting seeing him in this style movie. So we'll have to wait and see. Hopefully it's good. I think it's going to be good. I'm hoping. But as always, make sure to check out the outro band, Toronto-based horror band Blood Opera, if you're listening to this episode on Spotify. They're directly linked in each and every single episode. If not, go find them on Amazon Music, YouTube Music, or wherever you listen to your music. And as always, make sure to check out all my social medias at Typhonsign on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, X, Thread, whatever it might be. But make sure to definitely check out that YouTube channel for the old episodes of the podcast, weekly game videos, daily shorts, community posts, and tons upon tons of free content. Hours upon hours of free content.
So definitely go check that out. And check out the TeePublic link site down below if you want to help the podcast. You know, you want to buy some merch, help me and all the various things I've been working on. Until next time, I'll talk to you guys all later. Peace.
I am a whisper in the classroom, the writing on the wall. What's blood